meeting to order. Miami Township Board of Trustees. And our meeting was on March 18th. I would entertain a motion to adopt minutes of the March 4th meeting.
So moved.
I second.
Any comments? Discussion?
I think so.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Stockwell pointed out one apparent typo that I will correct. Ms. Mutcher,
Yes.
Ms. Moyer,
Yes.
Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
motion's approved.
Entertain a motion to approve the payment of bills in the total of $56,826.32. From the general fund, $10,673.14. From the fire fund, $34,908.35. From EMS, $4,874. From cemetery, $249. And from roads, $6,121.83. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we pay the bills.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we pay the bills as presented. We have a roll?
Ms. Moyer,
Yes.
Ms. Mutcher,
Yes.
Mr. Hollister,
Yes.
motion's approved.
Is there anything from correspondence that's worth, that merits being on the agenda?
I just pulled the two items that are part of the resolutions, that's all I saw.
Actually, I'll zip through them because they're all
Okay.
of merit. U.S. Department of Agriculture Compliance Review, Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission Notification of Transportation Grant, David Graham, County Auditor, Official Estimate of Resources, Greene County Engineer invites, this is out of date, but anyway, to Greene County Township Association meeting. Denise Swinger sent a draft zoning inspector job description, and I'd like to add that to, we call it old business, new business. Claudia, or Jane Brawler, email of interest in serving on zoning commission, and Mark Willis, email interest in serving on zoning commission. And Stephanie Goff, our county engineer, sent notice of township zoning responsibility training tomorrow morning, or Wednesday morning. Is that right? The 20th.
That's regarding the stormwater?
Yeah, and I plan to go to that.
Okay.
7:30 in the morning. So we will be talking later in the agenda about zoning commission appointments, zoning inspector job description. I don't think anything else.
I had put those under the public part of the agenda, the zoning commission applicants, but
Okay,
it doesn't
that makes
matter.
sense.
It would excuse the people if they need to go, but I don't care which way. Which order we do it.
well, we can do that now.
You pay the bills? Okay, good.
Margaret, how about if you introduce folks and,
It's Marilyn.
yeah, you.
I'd like to introduce Jane Brailer, who wrote a nice letter interested in the zoning commission. Would you like to say a few words about why you'd like to serve and your background and things? Or?
Sure. How many people have actually read the letter?
We all have, so.
but nobody here, so I don't know how much to reiterate.
Well, the viewing audience.
Okay.
hasn't-
Yeah, that's what I wasn't certain about. I'm not really certain. So, just retired as a professor at the University of Dayton. And so that sort of has had with it one skill set that is my more recent past. I was there for 24 years and was an associate dean. And so as far as grant writing, reading proposals and conducting risk-benefit analyses, just consuming fairly large volumes of information and putting them into a coherent form. And, the written format is probably my strongest suit, close to 100 peer-reviewed publications with a very large readership worldwide still. And then if you go back a little ways over the last 24 years, I've lived in the township. I have 3 different properties in the township, all rural. I've dealt with a lot of different zoning type ideas and had in-depth conversations with Richard Zopp on all of the different ideas that I've had. Have looked into a lot of interest as far as going with solar, and have kind of watched it go from not appearing terribly cost effective, and then over these last 24 years it has become more cost effective, and so I've kind of worked through that process. And so that's where my toehold in the agricultural component is, because I own 3 rural properties in our township. And I've been very involved with looking into solar and also lots of different zoning, opportunities as far as events and things like that. Have also had a lot of neighbors who hold all these pop-ups or do different things with their properties, and have been to the meetings where we're looking at how the appropriate zoning rules apply to the different types of events that they have held. And then if you go back a little bit, I'm an agricultural extension agent from Montana, and that's my undergraduate degree, is as an agricultural extension agent, and also was a full-time farrier in Montana and then in Washington State for...
I'm sorry, full-time?
Horseshoer. Yeah, farrier. I don't like that word at all. It's horseshoer though. First woman to become journeyman certified farrier in the world. So it was, kind of cool. Just happened to be kind of on the forefront of women going into that profession. And so up until I decided to go back and get the graduate degrees, I was 100% agriculture. My entire upbringing in the past is all agricultural oriented. Just other things like when people were kind of having issues with some of the things some of our local farmers were doing, I would attend those meetings. And I can say like Pit Sticks to begin with. I also border Fulton's properties. But I would go out and just firsthand go and see what was going on in these different operations, and could pretty much vouch that animals were very well tended. And if you've never had any exposure to large animal agriculture, a lot of things may not look okay, but people, I'm vegan, but people who eat meat might have to adjust their thinking a little bit on what individuals have to do that are raising livestock. So I've had a lot of involvement with all of my neighbors, all around me. So everybody rural in the township, especially on my end, I'm very familiar with them.
What road do you live, or your actual house? Where do you?
68 Yellow Springs Fairfield Road,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've also got the property next door to that, and then I own the Glass Farm homestead and barn.
Mm-hmm.
So the village owns the rest of it, but I've got the home and the barn, the old dairy barn that still has the milking stanchions and everything in it. So I I don't know, raised, registered, Corrigan cattle, I don't know, is that enough? I mean, it's just, when you're 70 years old, there's a lot, if you try to go back through everything, it can take a minute.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, I just thought.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, it's kind of two worlds, but I think that the agricultural thing has always been omnipresent for me, but then, kind of switching gears at a point in life and going back for the doctoral training and being a professor and associate dean at the University of Dayton brings a separate skill set in that can sort of contextualize some of the agricultural experience and issues that come forth.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to audit any of the zoning commission meetings?
No,
No? Okay.
no, I've been to, no.
Do you understand the position that's open this evening? It's an alternate position?
An alternate position, which gives an individual, as I understand it, no vote, but a bit of time to become more familiar with what the members of the committee would be doing, so it's not like hitting the ground.
And
running.
you can participate in all the discussions and
Yes.
everything except for the vote.
Vote.
Unless
Unless
someone's asking and
Absolutely.
Yeah, right, that's what I understood. I
Okay.
did read about it, and the one thing I wouldn't know right off is if an alternate would have any responsibilities or could take responsibility for any writing that needs to be done, or if there are grant applications that need to be filed.
That would be
research.
between you and the chair of the zoning commission.
Yeah, fine.
Just to reiterate, the zoning commission is an entirely separate body from trustees. They're appointed, but they operate under their own bylaws and make their own, obviously, rules and regulations.
Yes.
So for all intents and purposes, our position is to just fill seats.
Yeah, gotcha.
Thank you very much.
And
Anyone else? Any
Brian
questions for-
specifically came to us this year and asked for assistance with writing, so I imagine, I won't speak for him, but I imagine he'd be happy to have somebody who likes to write
Mhm.
on them. Mark Willis,
Okay.
I want you to not be intimidated. I just can't believe we found this person of Jane in our small pool of people that we have to choose from. We only have, I don't know how many adults we have to choose from to fill these boards. There's only how many people in the township itself that incorporated? 1,300 or 1,000?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000?
Yeah, more than 1,000, between 13 and 16, depending upon
Minus the children,
how
so
you're
yeah.
coming.
So,
And,
But we have 2 seats to fill.
right, I was gonna say, we can have 2 alternates.
oh yes, I just, if I was following Jane and the resume you just, how you happen to have all those things that came, I just wanted,
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
yeah.
You know, I mean,
just
I
wanted
think so
Mark to
too.
know that this is,
I've never shoot a horse, but I've rode one once or twice.
Are you a farrier?
Trust
I
me.
am not, but I admire them.
Yeah.
In the first female,
Yeah,
congratulations.
the main thing is there's sort of a diversity, because I'm sure you've got different experiences than I have.
You shoot horses, I've ridden them. So, yeah, the other
I've
end.
been on both sides of it, but anyway, but I'll be, yeah, so I'm interested in hearing about you.
Okay, well, my name's Mark Willis. I'm fairly new to actually living in the township, but I grew up in Fairborn, went to Wright State, Old Park Hills, so this has been my backyard. I used to go to Young's when they made donuts 24 hours a day, so I've spent a lot of time in this area and feel very familiar with it. I now live on 131 East State Yellow Springs, so it's in the township. Currently, I'm director of the Hall Hunger Initiative. That's the anti-hunger group Tony Hall created. And we work with a lot of agriculture. We work to support local growers, to remove barriers so they can be successful. And I'm not an expert on farming, but I do have some connection with it. I spent 26 years at the library doing community relations, so one of the things I've always felt comfortable with in these sort of settings is to make sure the community gets heard, their input is listened to, and you have a good conversation. that the board represents what the community wants, not just the loudest voice out there, which sometimes happens. I've worked several years in law firms as paralegal, so I've wrote and read a lot of this kind of technical stuff, so that's not intimidating at all. I've also written countless grants and one book, so I have done a fair amount of writing, including some technical writing, so I'm also very comfortable with that. My degree's in communication, a BA and BS as I call it, but it has taught me, and I've done journalism and newspaper writing, so I've done a lot of writing also, but not quite as much as James, so very comfortable. I did attend the last Township Zoning Commission meeting, and very interested in the discussion. I mean, the solar is important, but I think that's only, to me, a small part of the whole bigger thing, the idea of the land use plan and balancing, keeping what we have here and still meeting the demands of the community. And that's what interests me, is how you balance those two things.
Did you have any additional questions about the role of the alternate that we were just?
No, Marilyn had explained that to me pretty well, so I had a pretty good idea. And listening to the last meeting was really, really helpful. Good discussion.
Well, thank you.
And I thought they did a good job, by the way, listening to the people over there.
Good.
Right,
Do
Chair?
we want to take action?
Any other
Appointment?
questions?
I don't have any.
Go right ahead.
If not, I'd make a motion to appoint both individuals to alternate positions on the zoning commission.
Nice. I'm enthusiastically second that.
I don't know whether they're termed or not, now that I think about it.
I saw in the ORC that they are.
I thought they were one-year terms.
Is that right?
As an alternate, they were one-year terms, but I don't remember if that corresponds with the rules of the zoning commission, but the appointment occurs here.
Right.
So I don't know if your rules apply as to how long they are there. And I certainly wouldn't want to be quoted as actually knowing your rules either.
Well, most of what we do is driven by the ORC anyway, so if it says 1 year, we could say 50, but it's not going to make any difference.
But I think reappointment is not excluded in that. That is to say, okay, you serve a year, you could serve the second year, you could serve it, it might come back to you each year to say,
Oh, well, definitely. I mean, we reappoint for until someone has moved or passed away.
or decline.
Or declined, yeah. But that never happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about we make this appointment through this calendar year, and at our first meeting
Yeah.
in January, as we make all sorts of appointments, we'll just
No, I agree.
do the alternate, and then we will do one of the voting members. So it's been moved and seconded that we appoint as alternates to the zoning commission two folks who have introduced themselves. Can we call the roll?
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Motion is approved. Welcome.
Thank you.
You?
Congratulations.
You're welcome to stay.
That's my,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
you're welcome to stay as a member of the public.
And we'll notify Chair Corey of the action.
But you're not obligated to stay.
May I ask what's on the agenda?
We will have a fire department report, we'll have cemetery road report, we will have fiscal officer's report, which includes permanent appropriations for 2024, as we finished the first quarter, and then do the ongoing appropriations. And we will have standing committee reports, and then one of our insurance companies had scheduled a visit, and discussion of meeting room scheduling, discussion of zoning inspector job description, and depending on how much time is left, discussion of what we want to advertise ongoing in the Yellow Springs News.
Sounds full.
And a discussion about what a resolution versus a motion is.
Okay.
I've been trying to get this on for
Oh,
many meetings.
thought we knew that.
Well, Chris and I have debated. Now he has the answer. Let's move on then to fire department report.
Okay, so since last meeting, we had 20 EMS calls. Not really sure why that was down for this particular period. 8 fire calls, and we actually had no mutual aid request or receive calls during that period of time. Brush 81 will continue to be out of service for an unknown period of time. There were 2 options for repairing. One was to actually replace the entire sked unit in the back. That's basically about 16 grand. So the other option was to replace the engine and the pump assembly. That's 8 grand. So kind of a no-brainer on that. So I'm waiting for the formal quote on that. Hopefully we'll have that in a couple of more days. And it is what it is, unfortunately. Engine 82 repairs are going pretty decently. Most of that's been valve rebuilds and some of that. It does need to go down to the shop in Springboro for additional repairs. The pump transmission has this leaky seal in it, so they have to be able to tear that down at the shop, as well as the rear brakes need to be replaced. At this point, just pads though. Let's see. As far as eclipse planning goes, I'm going to increase the staffing that day from 3 to 8, if I can get 8 people for sure. And then that extra staff will be on basically the morning 12-hour shift. I'd like to bring him in later, but just not knowing how traffic's going to be coming into town and how that's going to be impacted, it's just probably safer to just bite the bullet on that. And really the same, I would think, fingers crossed, by 1900 we might start to see some auto traffic returning to a little bit of normalcy. I will be in the county EOC for that. I thought this was a great drill opportunity for me to be in the EOC. So that'll put Nate in charge here locally.
What is EOC?
Emergency Operations Center. So that's in the county EOC. It's based in the courthouse. Paige and I met with Friends Care Center just to go over some of their plans that they had. I explained to Friends Care that more likely not what we would be doing is limiting our transports to GMH, so that I would expect that to be easier to drive and get an ambulance to the hospital as opposed to going to Soing. Some exceptions with that would be if we're having an active MI or something like that where we want to get the patient to the cath lab right away. And then the game plan would actually be to go out Hyde Road, go all the way down Hyde Road, because there's really nowhere anybody can park. So my thought process is that would not be, a crazy street to get down compared to Dayton, Yellow Springs Road to an extent. But there's just a number of different things that are just going to have to be, just planned like, okay, this is how it's going, and hope for the best.
Could we have one of the township plow trucks lined up to go in front of the ambulance?
Yes, I like that. We used to actually legitimately do that back when we got real snow. More than a few times that the plow took us to green. The ASO inventory module will go in service April 1.
You remind me what ESO stands for.
Just ESO. It doesn't actually stand for anything. But so the last phase that we have to do with the inventory module is mapping some of the equipment and supplies that we use, primarily going into patient care reports. And so we'll have that done here in another, probably, I would say maybe Thursday. And then the rest of that will be training time and us playing around with it and getting used to it before it's rolled out to the troops. Insurance Services Organization, which has now been renamed to VeriRisk, will be here on Friday to do our site survey. I did email him and tell him that this Engine 82 is potentially going to be out for the week, and that may need to require us to reschedule it. In the past, they inventory the trucks and do all that kind of stuff. We can't inventory a truck who's not here, so that ball's in his court on that. We did have an officer staff meeting last week, was pretty well attended. I only had one person that was missing. And also last week, we had Stryker come out to demo the cot for the workers' compensation grant. It is absolutely amazing. It weighs 85 pounds less than the current cot we have. I don't know how they did it. I remember lifting heavy cots that weren't even motorized like ours is, that weighed less than what this cot, or more than what this cot has. So I don't know what magic juju they're putting in their metal, but it's pretty impressive. We'll have How Rescue here.
Because the battery's not included.
Yes, exactly. There you go. That's a good point. We'll have How Rescue here on Thursday to demo the new Draeger air packs, which would be what I want to stick to. But I haven't seen the newest fangled one, so and the whole department knows about that, so they have the option of coming and seeing that as well. That is all I have on my report. Oh no, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Now I messed something. Thank you. I skipped a line. I know there was some question about the meeting room cameras, and I did verify that those don't record the audio. It's just strictly the video.
Yeah. And Don was asking about ESO. It's the way I think of it, it's just a big system that tracks all systems in a modern fire department, like fleet maintenance and then staff stuff. And
so it's called the Fire Department Record Management System, and just exactly what Marilyn said. Every aspect of every data that the fire department ever touches is in it. And so it's a package suite of applications that are all web-based. That includes like our patient care reports, inspection, personnel records, all the inventory stuff. I mean, it just...
And for some reason, it's called ESO.
Yeah.
And you haven't finished implementing it.
Yeah, so what the last thing that we have to do is, so let's say that, we take Jane Doe to the hospital and we do all of these procedures, treatments,
IV,
whatever, right? So it'll know, okay, well, if you start an IV on this person, using example, what kind of fluid did you use? What kind of IV drip set? What kind of angiocath? And you put that in, and that pulls from inventory, tracks all that inventory and everything. So that's
if you had
that.
oxygen, it could be a mask, or it could be nasal cannula.
Yep.
So one of those two things is a different expense than the other.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
you had mentioned, I'd asked you about tying in with, Engine 82 is our oldest engine.
No, that's the newest.
And I had asked you about tracking the repairs for each one, and that eventually ESO will do that. So when we make cost-benefit analysis of when we replace things, we'll know if we're investing in a new piece of equipment, we know how much we're going to be saving. And
so I talked to, or I'm sorry, I didn't talk to you. I remember recalling a conversation when Dave Eadman retired. Somewhere in the fire station, I haven't found yet, is actually a list of all of that. And in fact, what I'll do and go back and put that in ESO so we can generate some reports. So it's somewhere in a box, somewhere in this building.
Yeah, just eventually we'll be able to look at one machine and say, okay, how much have we put into it in the last 5 years?
Sure. Dave Eman, that's decades ago.
It feels like it.
Like 3 years tops?
Yeah.
How many?
3 years.
Feels like
somebody
that
else.
case done.
No, it feels like it's been a long time. Trust me, I miss Dave a lot, a lot.
He was in his garage on 16.
Okay, yes.
Thanks, that's great. Report. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I'd like to know if it's going to be cloudy on April 8th.
I think a lot of us would hope it's cloudy on April 8th.
Oh,
Us in public safety and emergency management, we would be okay with that.
There'll still be a lot of people, they'll have already.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, you're totally right. It's going to be a
They'll
lot.
already have reserved their little
Yes.
B&B or something or whatever to come down and, or come to the area, maybe not to this area, but just a little far north, or a little bit more north and west. They still got to get out of there.
Right. Well, and we've got 2 events that are planned for the village. We kind of came to the decision that it would be better for us to actually, plan an event or 2 and say, we've got somewhere that you can be focused so that we have a better idea of where people are and that kind of a thing. And, that's, hopefully that game plan works. And that's been as a result of Paige, Johnny, and I, and regular communication amongst us. So that's been, actually, it's been terrific.
yeah, I saw that map with all the
Mhm.
restrooms and
Yep.
event areas.
I don't know how they managed to get 100 porta johns.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
You
we
think they have
actually,
them, or they already have them?
they have them, they're officially
I don't think we have
reserved.
that many for street fair, do we?
I'm not sure how many for street fair. It's a lot, but I don't know that it's that many.
Huh, okay.
Well, we have 2 resolutions that, of different issues the county wants us to address that kind of mesh with fire and rescue. It's a resolution to support the counties, to approve the final plan for Greene County-wide 911 system.
The update, yeah.
It's updated,
Also known as Next Gen 911.
okay? And I will read the bulk of the resolution. Whereas 128.06, Section D of the Ohio Revised Code requires that each county 911 program review committee maintain and amend a final plan for implementing and operating a countywide 911 system. And whereas the Greene County 911 Program Review Committee has created the final plan pursuant to the requirements of Ohio Revised Code. And whereas Ohio Revised Code Section 128.07B1A requires that the committee send a copy of the final plan to the Board of Township Trustees of each county by certified mail, our ordinary mail, and by internet identifier of record. And whereas ORC requires that the legislative authority of each township whose territory is proposed to be included in a county 911 system act by resolution to approve or disapprove the plan within 60 days of receipt of the final plan, etc. I would entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
And it's 13, is that right?
Number 2.
2024-13.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Do you have any comments on this?
I've only seen the initial draft. I haven't seen the final part, but the draft that I saw, it all made perfect sense to me.
I got a question. The Beaver Creek Dispatch, my understanding is limited, of course, but I'm sorry, but Beaver Creek, I understand their dispatch is not the same as the entire 911 system for the county. That is, Beaver Creek has their own dispatch, you
Yeah.
have a different dispatch. Is that somehow become one here, or those separations remain?
That is a different topic. However, the commissioners have hired a consultant who has a 2-year period of time to study complete county consolidation of dispatch centers. It is my understanding at this point that Beaver Creek is partially on the fence as to whether they would go with the county, but that's all I know about that. Yellow Springs Police will not go in with that consolidation, but it looks like the remaining agencies would, which covers Greene County Central Communications as it exists now.
I might have misunderstood, but I'm sorry. It sounds to me like you're saying that the Yellow Springs Police does not participate in the county 911.
No, they do, but they're going to maintain their own dispatch center.
Their own.
Those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, yeah. I'm obviously confusing things that you know better about.
Yeah, the Yellow Springs community has made very clear that they want Yellow Springs Police to dispatch themselves. So when 911 is called, as it currently is those calls go to Greene County Central Communications. If it's for the fire department, then that active call stays within my center. If it's a Yellow Springs Police Department issue, then that call is transferred to our police department dispatchers here in town.
Okay, but that makes me think that the 911 goes to one place, no matter who makes the call.
Mm-hmm.
But when it gets to that place, it's a decision by the dispatch people. Oh,
Yes.
wait a minute, that's for police for Yellow Springs, so you send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's for something else, police for some other thing, then it's still dispatched from them.
Yeah,
Okay, and for the Beaver Creek Fire Department, it's kind of like that too. It goes there, but it ends up going back to dispatch for Beaver Creek.
also the city of Fairborn.
May I ask a question? I think it's along the same lines, but depending upon whether the person making the call in is in 45387 incorporated versus unincorporated, that makes a difference in the dispatch?
No, it does not. Yeah, that doesn't change anything. There are things about this that get muddied. What we're really speaking about is traditional landlines. We're not talking about voice over IP phone, and we're not talking about cell phone, because those are handled differently.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
So
but that is part of, actually, this new 911 system that we would be going to has a lot of technological beef to it that actually helps to address those kind of items.
All those little peculiarities
Yeah.
get programmed in.
Yeah, the VoIP stuff is a little more complicated because it's on the resident to correct their address on their VoIP device. And, that's made very clear. Like if you buy a VoIP box, it makes very clear, like a sticker right on the thing that says, you must, and you're responsible if you don't put in the proper address. So let's say you moved and you forgot to update your VoIP address. Well, when you call 911, you're potentially they're going to get sent to the wrong address. So it's.
And you're talking about the landline again?
No, that's just VoIP. So let's say.
What could be calling from your cell phone?
Voice over internet
Yeah.
provider, the computer telephone as opposed to the cell and
Yep.
the landline.
Cells are always coordinated with GPS.
Okay,
So we
great.
get a lot LAN coordination in that, and that's how that's all figured out.
Well, this gives us a sense of the complexity of
Yeah, and I'm
piecing
sorry
together
for
different
interrupting.
municipal-
I obviously don't understand all that.
Very complicated.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? So this is Resolution 2024-13 about the 911 system. Could we call the roll?
Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
We have another resolution, adoption of Greene County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Resolution 2024-14. Whereas the safety of the Miami Township community is of paramount importance, and whereas planning for natural, technological, and man-made disasters is a critical factor in proactive life safety and emergency preparedness programs. And whereas Miami Township Fire Rescue is the lead local agency for emergency planning and incident management, except for law enforcement incidents. And whereas the adoption of the current Greene County Hazard Mitigation Plan is an important component of emergency preparedness and a required action for the receipt of certain federal and state emergency funds. And whereas the Greene County Emergency Management Agency has developed the Hazard Mitigation Plan in partnership with agencies throughout the county, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees shall adopt the current Greene County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
I move that we adopt the hazard
Moved by
mitigation plan.
Marilyn Moyer.
Second.
Seconded by Chris Buescher. Any questions, discussion?
Yeah, did you actually get a copy of the plan to read and understand what they're saying? Because, I mean, obviously, that's all wonderful talk, but if you never got to see the plan, it's hard for you to know, well, they said, well, we'll always dump the coal in this spot. I don't know, I'm making up a...
Chief Howell has seen the plan, and he's approved it, and he's passed it to us for adoption.
I have not read the detail.
It's also sitting on your bookshelf.
Okay, so you have your own copy, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I've got our own copy on the fire station side too.
Same with the 911 plan, though. I looked at it and I had nothing to offer the people who put that together. Because it was...
No, but sometimes it obligates you to act in a certain way, even though you were not the one who agreed to act in such a way, or were told what act you were to perform. That's why I just wanted to know if you had an opportunity to have
Many
it.
things I defer to our chief.
Sure, but
Yeah, it's not anything terribly earth-shattering in terms of putting any locality in that kind of a position. The gist of it is it basically empowers us to be able to operate on the same page, work with each other and providing mutual aid with each other and that kind of thing. So that's where the obligation is, but quite frankly, that is something that we already do. It's just a matter of the feds want to see that in writing, because that's not necessarily the case potentially in other communities. And they're like, well, if you want us to provide money, you know, i.e. FEMA money and grant dollars, that's what you have to do. And if you don't do it, then you don't get the money. So you're kind of stuck either way, because the residents certainly wouldn't be very happy if we were not eligible for FEMA money.
and also if there was no organization or plan to help the residents with a hazmat situation. I mean, I'm understanding some of it, but I just wanted to say, well, okay, did they let you either input or at least read the plan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't change much year to year. It's mostly just minor little updates that might occur. It's been a very similar document probably for the last 10 years anyway. So.
Call the roll?
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Ms. Leecher?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Resolution is adopted.
And on Solar Eclipse Day, you will be at the
EOC.
the Emergency Center, in effect, following some of this. All right. Cemetery Road Report.
I'll make it as brief as possible. In the last period, I've scheduled 4 burials, 1 Oak Grove, 1 Prairie burial, and 2 in Clifton, and have sold 2 new graves in Clifton. For roads, pretty much normal things. Brandon is beginning to fill more potholes, and he's making an inventory of bullet hole ridden signs around the township to order for replacements. That's about it.
Have we ever gotten a grant for that is, the county engineer last week talked about the availability of money for signs,
Not to get into
safety signs.
the minutia of it, but we don't qualify.
Okay.
We've explored that in the past. It's either size of the township or financial capabilities or something, but we don't fall under the qualifications for it.
Questions?
No.
The big one,
The last one.
fiscal. The meeting won't be over.
Right, sure.
No, the last fiscal officer report.
Yes, that's right. This is the final report
Of her,
for Margaret Silliman's 24 years.
24 years, yep. By the end of the month, it'll be 24 years, but I'm not going anywhere really far. 'Cause
We just refer to it as a reign.
So this is like a $1.3 million report.
No, it's just a little, I don't have the figures in front of me, but, yeah, just paying bills.
Anyway, we open your report, and the key thing will be permanent appropriations for the rest of the year.
Yes, there's a resolution for you all to approve permanent appropriations for the year.
Do you have anything else before I read this?
Margaret generally reads her resolutions.
I don't need
Do you
to.
have it in front of you?
one more time.
One last time.
Note the number of the copy.
Boy, you are harassing her.
It's 24,
You're not
50.
harassing, not harassable. It's resolution
Like last time.
2043-.
2043.
God. Would,
You're staying
that
on.
happen?
You're staying on for a while. Okay.
oh my God. Okay, yeah, it's been a long day. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Miami Township, Greene County, Ohio, that to provide for the current expenses and other expenditures of said Board of Trustees during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024, the following sum be and the same are hereby set aside permanently and appropriate for these several purposes for which expenditures are to be made for and during said fiscal year. Now, therefore, the Miami Township Trustees approve these permanent appropriations, direct the fiscal officer to submit these sums to the county auditor.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, we're going to read all these lines?
Sure.
no.
You can make them available to the public if they so choose. As with everything that's here.
And I'd like to personally commend Trustee Moyer for her very first total review and revision of temporary appropriations into permanent appropriations for 2024. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Sure.
It's a lot of work.
We did have a meeting last week reviewing this, but there was no action taken. We had, how many firefighters? 6?
I don't remember.
Anyway, I'm not sure they participated in it other than listening closely. Any comments, discussion?
I have none.
No, I don't.
Well, it's remarkably similar to last year.
I would say
How
so.
would you make a difference then? How would you describe it?
No comment.
Well, the newspaper's going to want to say something.
They can see the document if they request it.
Okay.
Is there a sum total?
Well, although it's
It's 10 different
all one
funds.
basket, there are very separate, like roads don't get mixed with fire and rescue, that kind of thing.
Cemeteries and so forth.
But it's
You
overwhelmingly
know,
fire and
the
rescue.
big number, there's somewhere around
It's on your last page.
Last page.
we have a
Which,
grand number.
which I can't read, but it's the one that says final appropriation to 2241-404-55, if I read that right.
Could you repeat that one?
Can anybody read that? Better than I? Last line of the last page. Final appropriations
It's on my last page.
Who collated these then?
You have 3 different documents, one
This is
page.
8 of 8, last page.
This is 9 of 9.
Mine is 9 of 9.
Oh, well, I couldn't read the 9. Okay, final appropriation,
million.
2247. Help me out, guys.
He
103.
doesn't have his glasses.
$2,247,404.83.
That's what I said.
Thank you.
And the trustees' stipend went down because our total budget went
As did the
down,
fiscal officers. Mhm.
which is interesting. This includes expenditures for the firehouse. So, and the ongoing expenditure has gone down a little bit for the firehouse. Now, I've lost,
Moved and seconded.
was there a move? Who
Yes.
moved?
Marilyn? Just a second.
Call the roll?
No, it's the other way around.
Or the other way around.
Mr. Mucher? It's been moved, okay, let's do this. It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution 2024-15, permanent appropriations. Mr. Mucher?
Yes.
Ms. Moy?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
I'd like to just wrap up my portion of the meeting here and express to everybody that it's been an honor and a privilege to serve in this position. I feel that all the trustees that have come and go, Chris has been with me all along, and I can assure the township that all the trustees that we've had are very committed, smart people, fairly reasonable, I'd say. And, it's not a combative situation, and they show respect for each other. And I have a big heart for the fire department. To just really, it's been a privilege to know them and to see who they are behind the scenes. And they're good people, and we're very fortunate to have these folks. They're worth every penny, honestly, and then some.
Thank you.
And
Well,
I'm
since
not
I was
gonna
called
cry.
out, jeez.
What?
I remember a long time
What
ago,
are you gonna do?
the first day Margaret came, I cannot tell you, folks, how excited we were to have her on board with us. It was a day that will live in infamy.
Why, what happened?
How's that memory going?
I want to do a lot of detail about what preceded.
Anyway, and looking around, give or take Mr. Part-time in 2000 or 1997 or whatever it was, I don't see too many faces that were here when Margaret and I first started. So I'm taking it upon myself to heartily thank her for every day of your service. And we will miss you a lot, and we know that you're going to be around somewhat, at least until somebody says adios. But I would like to give you a hearty handshake.
Thank you.
We'll be
We'll be around town. I'm not going anywhere that soon.
And will you invite the public to your party, Chris?
Yes, we had a party.
No, we're having a party.
Well, we probably won't get it in public.
Oh,
You think? By Wednesday?
it's in the newspaper, inviting people?
Well, that's true, but the viewers may not
Okay.
view this
Oh, yeah, I got it.
by Wednesday. If they do, please join us.
5 o'clock
Wednesday, 5
on
o'clock.
Wednesday in this room.
Yep.
We will
Cookies and punch.
celebrate Margaret's transition.
It's actually cookies and water because we're not supposed to have food or drink in this room.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of decided punch might get spilled.
Yeah, it would make a mess.
And it might make a stain, so we're going with water.
Yeah,
But we'll have
Again,
cookies.
I can't say enough for the people who serve the township. And it's been an honor.
Back to you, Mr. Chair.
So is this the end of the,
Yes, I'm
Okay,
finished for
report.
today. It's been, yeah.
no, I've lost my agenda. Standing committee reports. MVRPC,
Transportation grants. That's all they talked about.
Greene County Regional Planning.
I was unfortunately out of town at the last meeting, so I missed the meeting.
Well, the Clifton Union Cemetery, I'm finally earning my salary, which is 0. Thank you for overseeing burials in the absence of our sexton in Gokenhour. But we received, I made reference to this earlier, we were willed a house that it's not been listed, but it's, within a week it will be listed. We're having it emptied and the garage torn down, and it will be for sale, and that will, the money from that has been designated as an endowment. The income from the endowment will help pay for maintenance of the cemetery, and it has put the cemetery board in a very different position of, we're interacting on a project. It's very tangible, rather than the sort of routine that we've gone through, meeting 2 or 3 times a year, just kind of saying, great, okay, and checking something off. So I've gotten to know Tom Waddle of Greene Township, and in Clark County, who's our board chair, and our other board member, Linda Parsons from Clifton, and reminded of the unique nature of so-called Union Cemetery, where you cross jurisdictions. More often it's between a city and a township, but in our case, 2 different townships and 2 different counties. So we've had 2 different prosecutors' opinions, 2 different, on and on. Normally, it's not a big deal, but because we have this house that's maybe $100,000 property.
How long ago, do you recall, it was willed, the cemetery?
Oh, it was 15 years? Oh, 11 years?
I don't know. I don't know when she actually started.
The-
When she made
Like
the,
15 or 20,
Yeah, family members got to use it until they
passed away.
passed.
Where's the house located?
It's on Route 72, south of Springfield.
And just as a matter of information, a union cemetery is totally autonomous from the political jurisdictions that own it. It's very much like a planning commission or a BZA. They have their own board, they have their own bylaws, they make their own rules and regulations. We have nothing to do with the management of the cemetery, and neither does the other township, Greene Township in Clark County. That is solely the responsibility of the board.
Except that
And
we
they have their own
bill
finances too.
the townships.
Well, yeah, but that's just as a result of a contract for service. It really has little to do with, it has nothing to do with us. I mean, if you decide to take it independently, then we're just playing out. Yep, totally.
And the house, is it in Greene County?
It's in Clark.
Oh.
Anyway, thanks for listening to my story. The Yellow Springs Development Corporation.
Yeah, I went to the meeting. It was interesting. They're continue to work on reaching out to potential businesses and that may spin off and locate here due to the larger businesses having east of here, such as the Honda plant and things. Courting development.
Environmental Commission.
I have no report.
I went to the Greene County Township Association meeting last week. It was the annual report of the county engineer, and she emailed a PowerPoint presentation, basically just reporting on the projects that are underway this year. That is different road roundabouts and reconstruction. And later this week, I will go to an early morning presentation on township drainage responsibilities, water resources, stormwater, which is nothing dramatic has changed legally. It's just that with the change in our rain patterns, having more intense rains, some townships are having a lot of problems. Anyway, I'll learn what we're expected to be doing.
Shall I go on?
GFNB, what's that stand
That's
for?
Forest natural.
Forest Natural Burial.
Okay.
We're the Prairie people. We have our quarterly meeting April 29th. It should have been earlier, but there's an eclipse and a Passover, first day of Passover, we passed over. And so April 29th. That's all.
Are there any committees that we didn't put on this list?
I don't think so.
We got most of them.
Okay. We have Otarma visit, meeting room scheduling, and zoning inspector job description, and advertising plan.
Well, Turner just wanted to check in with all mostly our IT things. They are our risk insurance company. There's not much to say except for he is sending over, he really wants us to get a credit card policy and is sending over, he's surprised we haven't been dinged on it. He's adamant in sending over a template. And then he'd also like us to make what do you call it, Denny? It's like a contingency plan where if something happened, where are we going to set up operation and how are we going to do it?
Yeah.
He'll send over a boilerplate of that.
Kind of like
too.
a disaster recovery.
Yeah, like where would we set up operations if we couldn't
You
be
mean off-site?
off-site? And he had some concern about where we're keeping our documents. I assured him I keep some on my laptop, but everything, if I write like a draft of a resolution, it goes straight into the email system. But he kind of suggested that we start using our Outlook filing system jointly. Is that what you heard?
Yep.
And I'm open to that. I told him that we may have some challenges between the three styles or the three comfort levels, but did you get the sense it was a kind suggestion more than a get it in line?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
So I'm going to start keeping stuff there so you guys can get to it too. But that's all.
Yeah, it was actually a good visit.
Yeah.
You know, lots of helpful stuff, particularly in terms of coming back with some templates and that. So I mean, I don't think either one of us have a tremendous amount of work to do post visit.
So was this an on-site visit or Zoom?
On-site.
And he looked around and our stuff and our equipment and things.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I brought up the meeting room scheduling is because, well, I first want to say, there's a number of community groups that are really, people really like this room. And I think they're taking good care of it. And there's some regulars. But there were 2 occasions where I noticed there was, the firefighters came in to train and there was a mix-up. And they were so nice, they said we could find another spot. And that kind of like that really shouldn't be happening. And I noticed some groups will write their name on there, and I don't know if that's part of our procedure. And then other groups, like the YSDC, gathers, and they don't even write their name because everybody knows they're the first.
Yeah.
They make an assumption that they're the first Wednesday and.
They absolutely, definitely need to be on the calendar, because I know there ended up being a conflict with that, unfortunately, and it was a circumstance where they weren't on the calendar. In terms of my staff, it's easy enough if they didn't, because they'll decide when they're going to do training just based on how the day has shook out in terms of checks done or call volume or whatever. But they still have, it's the shift officer's responsibility to come check this calendar. Because that was the idea of, we just keep it a calendar, it's centrally located, so there's no area of confusion.
Yeah.
So I know one of my company officers is very good about that. Because he puts it in his little report that he gives to the shift guy saying, this is what we've got to do. So for us, it's really not a big deal, but it is potentially concerning if somebody just goes, oh, I'm just going to pick up and sign off on it.
Yeah.
They shouldn't.
I'll talk to that group that's put their name on it. And then, Don, you're mostly in contact with, I think the tree committee, the YSDC,
Men's group.
the men's group.
That's the key group.
I'm sorry.
Solar for a Green Future has been meeting here, and the natural burial quarterly, but
Well, maybe we should have a little card up there next that is, enter your time, email the, D. Powell before each meeting, just confirming. I mean, I think that should be the pattern.
I'm not quite following what your goal would be for that.
Well, do you trust just having scheduling time on the calendar?
If people write it on there, I would think you could.
Yeah, if people write it on there, and we're not, I have turned one group down who had absolutely no affiliation with the village or the township and was also a for-profit. And I'm like, no, you can't use our space. But I've only had that one time. Outside of that, the groups that meet here consistently have done so now since we opened it up. A new one potentially could be the Chamber of Commerce. I went to one of their meetings and we were all sitting right up on each other, and I said, why don't you just come meet in the fire station?
And they met here last week?
Yeah.
Or
Very recently. Yeah. And, so I'm not sure how often they meet, but I could see them potentially coming in as well. But I really am okay as long as it's, it's written up there. It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, there are two other things that I think could easily be issues, problems. Parking.
Yes.
When construction next door gets going, we will lose overflow parking.
Yeah.
Now, there is usually space at the Friends Care Center, but we don't have any arrangement with them.
Correct.
And then the other is opening the door. I've sort of considered myself on call with some of the groups to come open up, because if there's an ambulance run or a fire run, there'd be no one here to let them in.
Yep.
So
And we don't have a good solution to that outside of, if it's a medical, then in theory, if I'm not out of town at a meeting or something like that, then I'm here, and I obviously would let them in. But there definitely is a possibility where there could be no one here. I can only think of one time that was an issue, but I'm just saying I think that's the case. I'm not, how memory is.
Now, it may even have been a year ago, we talked about the regular groups, like the Development Corporation, could have a key card.
Yeah, that could totally be done. They could have a key card that just allowed them to open the front door and you just somewhat switch the flip on on it. That certainly doesn't cost me any grief.
And another thing would be, one system would be that we would have a key card that people would just come in and pick up and then leave behind. That would require somebody coming in the day ahead or one of us delivering the key card.
Yeah, I mean, for convenience, the first suggestion would be the easier one. I mean, it's not a big deal if a card gets lost or something like that. I just simply disable it.
And it only allows them into this bare public space.
I can set what door they actually can get in,
So they-
period. So I would just set it so they could only get in the front door. Then obviously this room is not necessarily locked and they have access to the bathrooms and everything.
But you still couldn't issue a card like that onto a random meeting.
No.
So the idea of potentially having a card at your public desk, if people were here,
Yeah.
to come the day before,
Yep.
pick it up, and then drop it off.
That's a good point. So we could definitely go both routes. I guess that would be my thought.
They tend to be pretty regulars.
Yes.
The ones that are coming are.
Yes.
have set meetings.
I'm not aware of there having been a problem with food yet. But at one point, we talked about if you were having, the Key Association, for instance, would have food in the hallway. And we talked about requiring a deposit in case cleanup needed to be done. Has there ever really been a problem?
No.
That sounds like more work than sweeping the floor.
Good.
And we gave the extra food to the crew, so.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any problems with anything like that at all.
So what's the next step on a key card?
So I would need to have basically a list of the groups, a contact person, so that card could be made. That would really be it. I mean, it takes no effort to make the cards.
Well, I'll contact each of the groups that seem to be regulars and see what happens.
Okay.
Let me write that down before we go to the next. Denise Swinger has shared with us a proposed zoning inspector job description. And you folks,
Yeah, right.
I read it, I think it's excellent, I agree with every point that she's made, in fact, to the point where it's written as a advertisement for applicants, any interested applicants, and after our discussion, if we get to that point, I would be happy to arrange to have the Yellow Springs News print it at their most earliest convenience, because time is marching on. It'll be April, basically, before it even gets in the paper, and then we're going to want to keep it there for a couple of weeks probably, and then start doing interviews. And we promised Denise that, pretty much April would be, the last time she would be working. So it's got to get started here.
Yeah.
So if you guys have a lot of revisions, either make them now or make them soon, because I'd like to get this published.
I have some specific changes I would suggest, but
Well, I'm noticing that it's probably well needed, but it seems like an expansion of what we've had in the past, and are we prepared to,
It sounds like everything,
it's everything that we need.
it's everything that we should have done, either have done or should have done, and so I'm not in favor of Xing out anything.
Okay,
Can you summarize it just a little bit? Or is it way too much?
Well,
it's sort of long. But zoning permits, people asking,
Yeah.
and for the county building, to get a building permit, you need to have a zoning permit. So, and typically the person will come
Yeah.
into the office.
I think a lot of this, there's requirements, but it's conduct thorough inspections of properties, review zoning permit applications and site plans, collaborate with property owners to address inquiries and concerns. Is this okay then doing this?
Sure,
now?
go ahead.
Investigate and respond to zoning violation complaints, maintain accurate records of zoning permits and et cetera. Prepared reports, detailed reports and agendas for the zoning commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals meetings. Stay informed about the changes in zoning laws. Provide guidance to the public regarding zoning requirements and process. Propose amendments to the zoning resolution to the zoning commission. So work closely with the zoning commission, kind of maybe make, like it says, propose amendments. Work with various local agencies such as Green Regional Planning, Health Department, Soil and Water, Green County Soil and Water. Provide the Township Trustees with a monthly activity report and records retention. So, and it also says requirements, bachelor's degree.
No, that's not good.
Okay.
You asked, what's it?
Well, I'm curious about the qualifications, minimum qualifications, preferred qualifications.
Well, we
Just out of
can talk
curiosity.
about that because I have some criticisms.
Yeah, and then how many hours, is it period or is it hourly?
That's
Is it-
what's not clear. It might be a,
It's really clear. Would you say 20 hours a week, 4 hours in office?
okay. I didn't see
Actually,
that part.
she does not detail that, and I question the need for, that is, I don't know why we would have regular hours. That is, you come into the office when someone wants to get a permit. You meet them at the office. Do we want to pay someone for office time that,
Doesn't get used.
yeah,
Then you say that ends that experiment. You don't know, you don't know until you know whether anybody would come in and want to talk about something that they want to do, but not
Well,
officially.
that is, I would leave that to the judgment of whoever we hire. We might say, we would like you to try and see if it's worth having office hours.
I think what she was looking at is several instances we found where this building isn't accessible. And we wouldn't want to put that burden on them, but if there were things they had to do with records and stuff, they could be here at that time and the public could at least know 2 days a week or something that you can reach somebody at this building. At this point, nobody can reliably find an office person here.
Right.
Well, you call and make an appointment.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't
That was
think it
that was the
needs to
idea.
be,
Okay, that was the
I
idea.
don't think it needs to be required. It's a suggestion for what might be better, and let's see what happens.
That sounds good. And your other?
But I would have thought that would be under responsibility rather than requirement. That is, she's, my other things, I don't think requirements, bachelor's degree in urban planning, public administration, or I just wouldn't, I wouldn't require a degree.
Okay, cross it out.
And I think that, I talked to her about that, and I think she changed it to or 5+ years of proven experience. The bachelor's degree in one of those fields, or years of proven experience in the zoning administration. So I don't know if Richard Zoff had a degree in any of those areas, but
Well, he had been doing it for the village.
But he had, years of experience, and obviously knew what he was doing. So that's why she put
Well,
either you're fresh out of college and you know a lot, or you've gone to the school of hard knocks and you know a lot.
Well, the next one is strong knowledge of local and state zoning laws and regulations. And to me,
That's on the job.
well, I would say that, you need to have this strong knowledge. And how do you get it? Perhaps experience, perhaps training, formal education.
How do you measure whether or not someone has it?
Pardon?
How are you going to measure whether or not somebody has it? Strong.
We will grill them
Resume.
extensively.
Interview them and talk with
Grill them.
And,
Strong
what
personality is what they'll have, maybe.
they could answer
Marketing
experience they
skills.
have. They could answer training they have.
But if there are no minimum requirements to indicate that they, anyway, it's okay.
Well,
I'll let it go.
You come from a world where there
Lots of position
it's
descriptions.
built on having.
Doesn't build upon having a degree, because I'm also a horseshoe, but I mean, if it's, I've
Right.
got a whole lifetime before anything dealt with college education, but I just think that sometimes you need to have language in that is measurable, and I think
Well,
strong isn't measurable.
I have no.
Because you're gonna,
I have no objection to, if we put in any one of these and just say, or equivalent.
it's something, I'm just gonna make a suggestion from the peanut gallery here, that you have some kind of language that is measurable, and we're talking about a new level of accountability on all of this stuff, because accountability is a huge issue now for many, many positions, and it seems like things are going toward requiring more accountability for everything. And so I think that I would use language that is at least measurable, because if you have more than one candidate applying and you choose one over another, are you going to be defensible in why one candidate, when there's a salary of some sort, I'm assuming, at stake?
Oh, somebody saying, well, why didn't I get the job? You're prejudiced or something like that?
I don't know what they'd say, but, you need to be able to clearly delineate why one candidate is selected if more than one applies, or why nobody's selected if you don't think there's anybody qualified, and how not to repeat any.
I don't want to turn this into a philosophical discussion about hiring, but I resist the term measurable.
It's accountable.
Accountable.
Yeah, but so how can you be accountable? I'll go with the word accountable, and so I need to hear the metric that would make you accountable for your decision on the hire, and that's back to measurement, but I'm done.
The word metric also. That is, when we.
But you can't select, you might want to guard against
Let me
selecting somebody for reasons that aren't.
I don't know that we're agreeing on my objection, but then I have a couple other things. And some of this, it's kind of moot, but detail-oriented with strong analytical and problem-solving skills. What in this job involves analytic and problem solving. It's more,
Well, I've sat by Denise the last couple months and watched her problem solving, analyze situations, so. People come to you with all kinds of situations, and you research and you see what the code says, and then you see what their practical situation is, and
Think of agritourism.
think of temporary use, think of agritourism.
mhm.
Think of somebody who wants to do something but has this really strange lot that can't work, and you have to make a decision on whether you can justify giving them recommending a variance or recommending a permit.
Okay, well, my two main objections are the requirement that we maintain regular hours for a zoning office. I see that as something to try out, but not as a requirement in the job description. And the other is, I'd be comfortable saying 5+ years of experience in zoning administration or parallel or equivalent or parallel work. I'm not sure what that would be, but somebody might turn up with.
In my opinion, that requirement might reduce your applicant pool down to half an applicant. I mean, there's just not that many people out there with that kind of specific background to qualify them.
What's your suggestion?
Well, to say strong knowledge of local and state zoning laws and regulations, and the various other things listed, I think is enough. I'd skip the degree and the specific number of years of zoning administration experience.
Fine with me.
I'm not in favor of that.
You're not in favor of dropping that?
The degree or the specific number of years of experience.
Because you think that should be kept in?
Yeah, I mean, would we eliminate somebody for not having a bachelor's degree? Are there associate's degrees and things, which are these types of things, or just bachelor's degrees? It's not saying you have to have a bachelor's degree.
If you've got a degree, you then have an opportunity to get a job with regional planning at $60,000 a year. So they're not going to come in here with $25 an hour.
Can they walk into a regional planning?
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe not ours, but other offices around, at least around Greene County, and according to Deanna, everywhere that she interfaces with, they're just begging for people. I mean, it's like trying to find paramedics.
So you're saying that doesn't matter if we have it because we're probably not going to get the people with bachelor's degrees?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Don on I agree with you on getting rid of those two requirements because I'm not sure they describe the person that you are looking for. But what verbiage could you use? Because I think that the high analytical skills and everything, and maybe I shouldn't be weighing in this heavily on this, but
No, go right ahead.
this is the kind of stuff that I've had to do so much of, is to try to figure out how do you put forth a position description, and you've got to know that
Well, yeah.
Denise has an awfully good idea.
There are people who have, we found Denise, we've had inquiries from people who have worked in local zoning, and whether it's city, other townships. I have no idea whether they have a specific degree or the number of years
I agree.
of experience. But can they do the job? And then we list strong knowledge of local and state zoning,
Right.
excellent communication, ability to interpret complex legal and technical documents, and on.
And I think then if you leave the analytical part in, I think that it just sounds to me like the line items that Denise has included describe that person better than the degree or the years of experience, because they most likely haven't, unless it's, they probably haven't served in that capacity. And if they're overqualified, they're not, going to apply for this position. And so that's, I think, every time that I've dealt with ZOP on zoning issues, it's been highly analytical and problem solving, because every single thing presents a brand new situation based upon what Marilyn is saying, because, you've got this weird this or this weird that. It's nothing just fits in the box. And so I think that it really has required someone who has knowledge of everything, but then also a lot of problem solving and all of that.
Maybe you should fly.
What?
You're interviewing for this job as well.
No, I'm not.
No, I know.
I'm so retired.
So I would like to delete what I've already identified, the degree or 5-year experience.
Okay.
And the regular hours.
But how many hours a week is the position? Wherever you are, because, Richard worked an awful lot from home, let's face it. And how many hours of work are you expecting a week? A lot of it's out in the field,
And it's
So if you
random
set
phone
up
calls
the
anytime.
appointment, yeah, right, but how many hours a week are you anticipating this position?
Well, from the last 3 months' worth of experience on the temporary basis,
Yeah,
she has determined this number of 20.
yeah, I have to say that every time I bothered Richard with something, it took a minute. There was a high time requirement and calling out to look at different events that were happening and follow up and look at things for my property. Sometimes he'd have to be out there 4, 5, 6 visits for one question, and nothing social about the visits. He kept his nose very much to the grindstone on work. So, yeah.
But the description talks about 20 hours a week.
Yeah, I think that's great. Just not
I
have to
actually
be in the
didn't
office.
see that in here.
She must have talked to us.
Yeah, see, I didn't hear that.
She
but-
brought those numbers up in our previous meeting.
So if you take out the office requirements, I think there needs to be some kind of commitment to how many hours a week you are anticipating it to require.
Say 15 to 20 hours a week.
Oh, shall we say estimated 15 to 20 hours a week?
Yeah, average 15 to 20, because there might be a 40-hour week and then 10
Cold
hours.
February and a really busy spring or something.
Yeah, right.
Although this February is really busy for the zoning inspector.
Or Mel wants to do more shows.
Shower, one of his friends moved him across the street from my house.
15 to 20 hours.
I have a funny way of agreeing with you, don't I, Don?
Yeah,
It's like a minute that I
So is that
did
marked up to
agree.
your
Jane was
satisfaction?
close to Kyle, no, the one.
Right across the
Fairfield
street. Well, we had a great big white tent up the road from me doing countless weddings with bands and, and it's all when I wanted to do events at my house, but never could because I always asked first, It's my big mistake, I guess.
So is that on your township side of your property or your village side of your property?
Township, and it's on my property that's further away. It's not on the glass farm. Yeah, so,
So you were following the rules and so you didn't get to do your thing?
correct, it's like,
Well, let's come back to the focus on this, that I'm comfortable with removing the specific degree or number of years experience and substituting, instead of saying maintain regular hours for the zoning office, saying estimated 15 to 20 hours per week.
On average. I would put average in there because if someone might have to have a longer week, and that might be counterbalanced with a more lesser. Do you guys put anything in there about any kind of, is there a physical requirement? Because I'm not hearing anything about a physical requirement.
Well, we can evaluate that when someone,
You have obviously experience in this hiring.
Yeah, right,
Just
yeah, writing
what-
position descriptions, but even we.
What is it, some kind of like, can you lift 50 pounds, or do you need services, or what are you suggesting?
So what is required? I know if it's out in the township, if it's rural, it's not always ADA compliant.
So you need to be able to drive and you need to be able to walk on uneven ground?
Well, ambulate on uneven terrain or something like that, just to go out and look at things. But it was a question.
Yeah.
Does it
I hadn't
need,
thought of
do
physical
you?
there is field work.
Yeah, is that on there?
No.
Yeah, I think that something just
They wouldn't do
mentioning,
field work.
What would be a good phrase for that?
we're probably gonna want, let's see,
Able to do field work on undeveloped land? I don't know, I'm not just throwing it.
I like that phrasing, ability to do
ability
field work
to
on-
ambulate, really, it's because
field work on inspections on undeveloped land.
undeveloped or
Ability to-
farmland.
To carry a
Yeah, or farmland, because it's developed at a
It's
certain
developed,
rate.
it's- yeah.
2x4 on a 10-speed bicycle.
Barefoot.
Barefoot.
It worked, that's how
That's
how he showed up at
That's-
my house
that's
all the
great.
time, you know?
We are still on camera.
Ability to do
No,
field
I
work.
was saying that fondly.
I know.
That's what I like, that's one of the things I like about Richard, is watching him
He was.
go by on his bike with any number of,
Yeah, he knew his stuff, he really was.
a big ladder or a big.
Ability to do field work and inspection on undeveloped land.
Maybe traverse. I don't know if they're gonna do field work, but ability, somehow, yeah, do field work, I don't know exactly what that means.
Field work is so broad and open.
There you go, okay, I know, see, I'm in on the other side of that stick, you know, you have to avoid broad and open and be specific so that you
So
can
you good?
be defensible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like a motion to
I am-
endorse this job
I
description.
would, and do we want to limit it to the Yellow Springs News?
Wait a minute, one step at a time.
Is there any requirement for them to live in 45387 or not at all?
You can't do that.
No.
You can't do that. It's a national search.
I'll move that we
No, I-
accept
I
this
live in the
description
village,
as,
but you can't require them
presented.
to live in the
Or
village.
as amended?
It's not
or not amended.
even though it makes sense.
Second.
Yeah.
Do we call a roll, please?
Been moved and seconded to accept the zoning inspector job description as amended after discussion. Mr. Mutcher?
Yes.
Ms. Moyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hollister?
Yes.
Motion approved.
So, do we want to print the whole,
Mhm.
all the details
I
in
think
the
so.
newspaper ad?
Yeah, I think people need to know what they're,
And why are we limiting to Yellow Springs? Is there not something through Green Regional Planning or something?
We can-
They have some sort of distribution?
I don't know if they still do or not. They used to have a little help wanted section. I haven't heard of it since forever, but I'm going there tomorrow, and I can ask if
Yeah,
they still have it.
I think of how many people don't read the Yellow Springs News. It will be in the print, will it be in the online edition? Should we put it online somewhere? We don't really have,
I mean, definitely your webpage for sure.
yeah,
but-
that doesn't get a whole lot of traffic, but,
Well, we could send it to the Township Association email list.
That's true.
We've got 50 people right there.
Okay.
So are you going to type the changes? Okay. And then I'll postpone my, I wanted to talk about advertising in the Yellow Springs News as a sort of annual plan, but I'll postpone that.
I'm going to postpone my resolution discussion.
Okay.
You were going to postpone what?
My resolution versus motion discussion.
Okay. Well, that sounds terrible.
So there's nothing else on our agenda?
I move to adjourn.
I second.
I'm in favor. Thank you all for
Aye.
coming. It was nice to meet you.